I'll tell you about that experience. That was fun. I'll tell you about that experience.
Above average black man, shining like the sun. Chris Senior, Chris Jr. Never known if people tell us.
Whoa. It's time to learn some of the words. You see me. Yeah. Tapping into more artistic talent. Some more songs. The dreamers, the doers, straight hustlers. I'm not ready to get a bigger boom box.
Talk, real talk, keep it raw and authentic. Tales of perseverance, nothing synthetic. From education to businesses, we cover it all. Inspired by the ones who rise and never fall. Chris Sear, sharing gems from the season days. Chris Jr. with the hustle, crafting new ways. Living on the grind, young and young. See, together we illuminate like a timeless machine. Above every black man, we breaking the mold.
That's crazy.
Never got credit for my artistic creativity.
I mean, can we say that the AI did it? Maybe sure. That's a debate right now in itself. Like, is the AI get the credit or the person who put in the prompt?
Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Benny Sr.
Chris Jr. here as always to empower, inspire, and uplift the community. But make sure you like, follow, subscribe. My brother's not here yet, but he will be. So I'll just jump in and say his part. Whether you're listening live or listening later.
It was my creative ideas that generated this.
You put in the prompt.
I put
this is exactly what's about to happen with people. Like, yeah, I'm an artist.
I know I'm an artist. No, I'm an artist.
No,
I'm an artist.
Put a prompt together that made this song that sounds just like what I wanted it to.
See, Prince was an artist.
Can't play.
He wasn't an artist. He was
lick
an
of an instrument. Don't know what chord that is.
I can play the drums.
Beating on the table is not playing the drums.
No, I can play the drums. I've had some formal training in playing the drums.
Oh my God.
It's been a long time.
Formal training.
It's been a long time, but when I was a young lad.
In middle school, I took a class like that too. Like they had the little snare drum.
I had
the little drummer boy.
I actually had the drum set in my face. We had a band.
I'm going to. Y'all were the Jackson 5 now. This is crazy.
I'm telling you, what? Let me get my brother.
I'm going to ask him. Like, who was playing what?
And they'll tell you, we had a drum set.
That's crazy.
Mike played the guitar, Jay played the bass. My other cousin played the drums too. I ended up playing the congos and the other drum. I'm telling you.
Uncle Jeffrey was singing.
No, he wasn't. But actually, it's funny because when I was in elementary school, I spent a year on the violin. It just started.
I need to start talking to somebody.
It just started interfering
to
with sports. I'm just telling you, man. Yo.
Need this to be verified.
I don't understand the doubt.
A violin. You just name. I played the cello.
Well, I ain't no, because see, it was different when I was back in elementary. You had to play an instrument. So you took the organ, and I was late signing up. So only thing left was the violin and the cello, and I wasn't carrying the cello back and forth. So
the budget started going down because we were just doing like what was that little plastic?
No,
we had the recorder.
Let me tell you, we had a room that had an organ in it, and we had times, and we would go to the room by ourselves, and those who wanted the organ, and they would practice. And the teacher would come in once a week. So I was in the violin because I was late signing up to the organ.
You know what's sad is that schools probably will never go back to that, or at least evolve to doing something.
Now if people like you keep laughing like it ain't cool.
At least evolve to meet the kids where they at. You know, like a lot of kids probably do need to teach instruments, but just music and arts. Period.
But it wasn't just it was discipline because we had to go practice on our own. It taught us discipline. And creativity because we were encouraged. Like I remember, thought I was gonna get in trouble playing around, trying to playing the fiddle, and the guy was like, "Nah." So we were encouraged to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, now people just don't. Patience.
I mean, and I think you know what? It's probably a stigma towards some of those things.
Oh, yeah,
like,
definitely.
I mean, we're about to have a violinist at our wedding, and I mean, I think he found himself a niche where he actually plays more like
Damien Escobar
songs that we into, like hip hop. Neo soul,
Damien Escobar.
Yes.
Check him out.
Yo, he's actually super dope.
Yeah,
probably best in the city by far. I think it's the same guy.
No, Damien Escobar is professional.
Oh, no, man,
I went and saw him.
This kid is dope.
He put the cool in violin, man. He would come out with the hat. He was buff too, man. He had a vest on.
I don't know about all that.
I'm just saying. Man, he put the cool in violin. He plays all kind of songs. Purple Rain, he do all of them. So I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, no.
Took your mom to the cassette. We went and saw. I'm just letting you know, man. See, that's because growing up. When I was growing up in North Philadelphia, I was a bit of a thespian. I got exposed to a bunch of different things. You know, I was. Well, there was a place in the park called Playhouse in the Park. And we would go there and I saw Shakespeare. I saw Macbeth. I saw all the plays there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did. I saw Porgy and Bess. You know, my grandma would take us every year to New York to see the Rocketeers. Mm-hmm. So I drive so we see the Rocketeers. Come on, and the Nutcracker. Come on, man. I was well versed. So see, I was not only hitting home runs and scoring game-winning baskets and TDs, man. I was a thespian. I was in the arts, man. You know, I was like out damn spot, all that stuff. I was well rounded, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't have kept playing the violin because my fingers, but you know, I'm telling you, man. I had experiences as a young man.
I would need to, like I said, verify this information.
Who you want to verify?
Your family, your brothers.
They'll tell you about the band. They'll tell you about the band.
Tell you some uncles, some cousins, somebody.
They'll tell you about the band.
The violin, all that. But I think
the violin, I got to go to my friends because that was in school. So that was Tommy and them that was in school. That was after doing school.
Oh, you do a show with them? Bring it up here.
Yeah,
I'll talk about
it. And they'll take look. See, they'll also.
That's a good plug for your show.
The other thing, they'll also tell you, man, I was a great athlete. They will tell you that.
See, we're talking about.
See, and you doubt
the thespian part.
That was very well.
I just like to talk. You know, so. I just always like to think talking about the athlete thing is easy.
I was a thespian, man. I was well.
Now we're pushing some boundaries and lines here.
Come on, man.
Thespian.
If they would have had plays, I'd have gotten the plays.
What you mean if they would have had plays?
We didn't do school plays. If they had school plays, I would have gotten the school plays.
I'm sure they had stuff at the rec. You could have signed up for it. You really wanted to do it. So look at it.
They didn't do plays in the rec. We played sports in the rec. Every rec had a sports team.
And they also had people.
They had no plays. That's why Mom took me to Playhouse in the Park so I could see those things. So I could see Macbeth and you know, oh man, I can't think of the name of the Moor.
Yeah. I mean,
come on, man. Yo, fellow, yeah, man. Come on, man.
I'm a thespian too.
So you know what? And you ain't know because I said the Moor. That's going up the black guy. See, I'm gonna dish you up on that.
I know that too. You know,
I dish you up on that.
How many people know Moors?
Let me dish you up on that.
Not too many people.
I don't know African history.
Thank you.
The Moors,
give me some credit.
They were the fiercest. Actually, people would hire them because they were the fiercest soldiers, man.
Yeah, I know that.
They kicked the Romans, man.
It's a fun Black history fact, you guys.
See why? Because I'm a thespian. Because I'm well-rounded, man, and because I make sure you
more of a historian.
See, I was universal, man.
Let's get to our topic.
I was a Renaissance man before there was a Renaissance man.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm just telling you, man. See, because if I was white, I would have. But I was black, so but I was the Renaissance man. But I don't know where the school was funny because I knew this.
The Renaissance man. Come on, man. That classic man.
I had home
Return of the Mac.
I had home ec, so I could cook. My mom taught me how to sew I can make biscuits from scratch. My mom taught me how to sew with a needle and thread the needle.
Let's get into our show.
I'm just telling you, man. No, I'm just letting you know, man, that I got skills with a Z.
Oh, man.
See, Devin should have been because he could have got some education.
Right, he would have been educated.
Yeah.
Like, he'll be here, sure.
I got to plug my book first, man. I'm so proud of this book, man. I tested it today. You are more than enough, man, and my whole family's in it. You know,
I think it's a great read.
And it ties into what we're talking about. Man. Because we're going to be talking about depression, disappointment, and change, but you can still win. That's our topic tonight, and it comes from because all last week I was talking on the schools I'm in. I'm talking to these kids, and I was amazed. And you and I talked about the other day, Snow Day, the number of youth who struggle with depression.
Yeah.
You know, who have these issues, and either one. Somebody told me today, man, I ain't gonna talk to anybody, man, because that's not cool. You know, and this is becoming more and more prevalent, especially amongst us, amongst African American kids, man. We're our race that we don't do therapy. You know, and we raise our boys. Unfortunately, we raise our boys, man. You know, the same way. And I'll say this real quick. I go back to the stigma because when I was a kid, we used to teach people riding the school bus. You know, the little short school bus.
Oh yeah, that's what sound right on the bus. Yeah.
We call it extra special. You know, and so
small bus.
Yeah, but what we didn't realize was we were creating that stigma that when people got older, they weren't going to therapy because we were talking about it and joking about it. Yeah, we didn't realize it. As kids, you do all this stuff, but then you realize as adults, you think back to those times, man. People making fun of people who had a therapist, who were going to see the counselor. You know, we didn't know. We were young.
Things have drastically changed within our society. Whether that's just how we, talk to each other, how we view things, like the generation information that we get.
But the generation who raised the generation raised them that way. I agree with what you said.
You're only doing it from a place of what you know.
Right? Yeah. So but that's why we're gonna talk about it because I just think there's a lot of people, man, who walk around with masks.
I just feel like everybody now we're in this almost it feels like a place of enlightenment where everybody is now woken up to, just the idea of mental health and all of these things that probably have transpired leading up to the state in which we are in. So I don't know. I think for where we are today, yes, I think there are a number of impacts from the past, but I don't know. I always kind of find a way to weave it in, right? Social media and technology and just these things that we use on a daily basis, I think have done a number on us as a society, and I think has heightened it for our youth to be more vulnerable or open to depression. Even with your children's book, and I was talking to my fiance the other day about this. It's rare that you see for kids they have an opportunity to be kids.
Yeah,
and just think of the world in the most simplistic way that you can, and be creative and see hope.
It's funny you should say that. For me, I think I'm not gonna say shy, but to me the surprise comes in where how many generations go back to what you just said. But kids not being kids. How I run into adults who never had opportunity to experience childhood, and they have these scars and they're traumatized. So it's more commonplace than I thought it was. I thought you were talking about maybe one generation, but you're talking about 2 or 3 generations of large number of individuals who never had a chance to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people tell me, when I was 12 years old, I had to work because my dad left us and I had to make money. So I had to work a full-time job and try to get my diploma. So I ended up getting the GED. I'm the man of the house at 12. So he went from being the man of the house at 12 to he got married right to the man of the house again. And so he never had that time, I've had people tell me they didn't go to college because they had to take over, had to help out mom. And, so there's a lot of people out there who have trauma, man.
Yeah.
Traumatized, man.
And I think when we were just talking about that idea, when you stifle children's creativity, I just think it does so much damage in regards to just how their imagination of how they can see themselves in the future. And I think we talked about this on the show before about when sometimes we say so much to our kids, oh well, one in this kid makes it and these many kids go to prison and we kind of build this box that we putting them in, and I think that around depression, things like that, man. We just kind of imprisoning the youth,
and we become very dismissive and allow them to have feelings because kids say it all the time. My parents tell me, man, when the bills start coming to the house, I can have problems. Or
I mean, that, let's talk about that because that's always been a thing. Like,
yeah, but they say no all the time now,
like,
man.
Yeah,
You too young to have problems.
There's always been a thing, though. I don't think there's anything new, like, in terms of like the.
I don't think it's new, but I think you're dealing with a different mentality now.
Yeah,
I think the mentality of today's young people are totally different.
Yes, I do think that. I mean, because so many things have changed. Like, man, like the idea of you can get a spanking back in the day. You know, now you do that. It's DHS.
Let's look at it from an athletic.
You deserve it, kid.
Let's look at it from an athletic point of view. I was talking to a friend of mine. He was like, "Yo, you need to get back into coaching. You know, we need more people who can teach people the skills and the fundamentals of basketball and everything." And then he said, "Well, but this is my disclaimer. It's different now. You know, before you didn't tolerate kids talking back and stuff like that. Man, you could raise your voice and not be a big deal. Now everybody's videotaping everything.
I'm talking to the parents, and I'm going to be like Coach Carter. I'm getting basketball.
You ain't going to just like you have them stand up and say, "My greatest fear is," you know. Yeah, but I think
exactly.
So I think it has changed. So let me ask you a question: why do you think so many men suffer in silence?
That's a great question.
You don't think no one cares?
You really think that?
Yes.
Yes. Or no one's gonna listen, or someone tell you to man up.
The perception of it. It's like, you know, I saw this interesting post where it was talking about how brotherhood has dwindled or died down. And that has kind of led to almost like this kind of mass depression within men. Because you don't have a place to go talk and speak. And to Douglas' point of what he was saying, like where you feel like you can't go and speak anywhere, like you do have to have this bravado sometimes of strength. And granted, people be saying like, "No, you can share and you can talk to your," like, yeah. In some instances, there are times where it's like you're expected to kind of man the ship and hold it down because like you are that pillar of strength, especially if you're in a relationship. Like you can't be like running like it's the Titanic. Like you're supposed to be holding it down, going down.
Do you think some of that is self-imposed? Do you think that's actual?
I think it's actual. I don't think it's self-imposed. I mean, you want to know what's funny? Because I legit had this conversation with my fiance. Like, and it was just like, it was an interesting conversation because it is the idea of like, where it's like, yeah, like, all right, you can complain and say all these, but I'm like, what if I'm like, and just sitting here spilling onto you? And it's like, she wants to be that person who can spill and have a place to, it's like, I don't know. It just is, I don't think it's self-imposed at all. I think it is a reality.
Well, I'm asking because I'm not disagreeing with you because, you know, it's funny you should say that because, you know, I've been married 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of went through the whole gauntlet. And there's certain things that, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, that I think your mom just doesn't get.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't get, you know.
And then you sound like you complaining and she's like, you little.
But also think because of perception that they have. Mm-hmm. I think we contribute to it because we build up this perception and personification that we're Superman and we never turn back into Clark Kent. And to your point, we never discuss turning into Clark Kent. And as we get older, Clark Kent starts to surface and they still see us as Superman.
Yes.
So I do agree with you. I think that's a huge problem because, you know, I work with men, so I hear this all the time. When I get a bunch of guys in the room and they don't have a safe place. Mm-hmm. But the thing that's becoming scary is more and more young people are saying that because, like, you know, my schoolyard plug, guys I've known since kindergarten, first grade, we've always talked like that. And I'm thinking you have friends the same way. Right? Yeah, we can get together.
We're fortunate to have a group of people around
but
us
I think that's I think that's going now. Like I was talking to a group of young guys, and this one guy tried to tell me he knew everything about his friends. I said, "No, you don't. You think you do." But nobody tells their friends everything.
And that's the thing too, is like even I will say probably amongst men, like sometimes there's this idea that you have to show up and be a certain way. And you only really probably let a few of your closest friends really see you vulnerable and like in certain periods of time in your life. So
do you think, without going down this whole rabbit hole, we talk about this a lot, do you think that culture expectations has a lot to do with it, how culture sees masculinity?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't hesitate. Yes. So he was saying yeah before the word yes came out.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm saying that is because you have all these think pieces, articles, podcasts, different, just going in on men's feelings, how men should act, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, this and that. It's like you're almost getting told how you have that. Like, for example, Shaq said he doesn't really open up to women because he doesn't want it
used against him. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that a lot.
A lot of people feel
it comes back out. And
it's weaponized. Yeah.
So I would say, I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely a cultural thing.
When you say culture, do you mean like white and black?
I mean, like society.
Culture.
Yeah, but white and black matters too, because I've heard it said, that some people seem to think that's why they date white women, because white women are more sensitive, to the emotional needs. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that. But
it's crazy. I was about to make that same point and say that about men. You hear that black men aren't necessarily that emotional or like kind of have that soft side, so that white men are the ones who.
Well, because we haven't. Most of us. I go back to the way I was raised. I love my dad to death. My dad to me was awesome, but I remember there were times when if I went to my dad and he felt like my voice wasn't as deep as it should have been, stop whining.
That is funny.
That's just how he was. You saw how big my dad was. So, and
too whining about.
Yeah, stop whining.
Answer the question.
And we talk as a man. He would little things like that. So I do remember that growing up, and I do remember how that hindered or hampered our conversation somewhat, because I was very choosy about what I would go talk to my dad about. Because if I'm going to tell you something that's from my heart and I don't come out right, and you tell me like, yo, we'll stop whining, that could be a heartbreaker.
Yeah. I'm never doing this.
But he was raised because my grandfather was this straight grandfather. My grandfather, the little bit of time I got to see my grandfather, I don't remember him showing any emotion. I just don't. I don't remember him showing any emotion at all. I know the stories my dad told me, which was really not about a lot of emotion. I remember my grandmother on my dad's side who showed some, the little bit of time I spent around her. Yeah. But I never remember. I just don't.
But it's like just thinking about like what they even had to go through generationally.
Well, I agree.
You ain't got time for that.
But some things get passed down, and that's what I meant culturally, because some things do get passed down. I was talking to a young man today, and we were having the same conversation. It's like I've counseled couples where she'll say I love you, and he can only say me too.
They don't say I love you.
Now I got friends who would say every time we hang up that I've grown up with, that say I love you. So I mean, it's different. I've known families who've never said that to each other. Yeah, because it's just something they just don't say.
Yeah.
You know how I feel. They say all those things around it, but those words "I love you" don't come out.
It's a struggle to say, in some instances or cases, especially I feel like maybe if you haven't really received it or you don't know what it is. Like I think it's tough to just say that.
Do you think emotional? Okay, so what about emotional suppression versus emotional health? Because you're suppressing all these emotions, man. You're holding all this in. On good, bad, and different. And Devin said something that's very key, because you thinking nobody cares, to me, only adds on to the frustration of how I feel. If I feel a certain way and I think somebody cares, especially if you're in a relationship, it makes it a little easier.
That's why I said you gotta have some good homies, good friends.
Yeah, but you can have good homies, but I think everybody would like to have a counterpart who at least somewhat understands.
Yeah.
You don't always want to go to your homies. Everybody would like to have a counterpart that kind of, at least, even if they don't understand, that's sensitive to what you're going through, and not like you said, because I know exactly how you feel. Like, I don't want to say like I'm turning into a limp or a marshmallow.
Yeah, like
I'm getting old, so now I'm getting soft.
Too vulnerable, like you're too soft. It's just like that.
So you think there's such a thing as being too vulnerable and too soft?
Ooh, you put me on the spot.
No, I'm just curious. I'm not saying this. I'm just curious.
Trying to be mindful. I'm trying to be mindful.
No, I mean with anybody. I wouldn't expect you to be out with your boys in the middle of the Sixers game and you start breaking down. Like, man, life just sucks.
I can't believe
they got you in the jumbo camp. No, I'm saying like those moments where you may feel like like I know there's times when I go back and I think and all the stuff I do, and it gets heavy. So when I think about the 50 men that I kind of work with, I think about the staff that I have. I got a staff at work that I got to deal with. That because of our relationship, I deal with their issues too. I think about the almost 400 kids that I have in the program that I got to look out for. I was laughing because I was not laughing. I was talking to somebody who I've known for some time, but we've never had this type of conversation. And they start telling me about how they were trying to get close to God and asking me. So I mean, so after a while, it does get heavy. Then you throwing them in the shelter, stuff I do in the schools. I take in a lot of stuff, so sometimes it gets heavy.
Yes,
there's
I'm gonna
times
say
when,
you can be vulnerable. Yes, an example: Samson and Delilah.
Well, that's a good example and a bad example.
I think it's good. He was vulnerable. I mean, because
but he was whipped.
He was vulnerable like that.
He was whipped, man.
Are you saying he's the first simp?
Yeah, he probably was. No, because come on, man. I'm not trying to and then he get me in trouble because somebody gonna think I'm not making fun of the Bible. But
he was telling her
3 times. But if I tell you twice,
he was being vulnerable.
But if I tell you twice how to kill me, and you send people 2 times, I'm not gonna tell you the real truth. I'm not. If I tell you twice, this is how you kill me, and somebody show up to try to kill me those 2 ways, I'm not listening to tell you the truth.
Saying,
that wasn't vulnerable. That was dumb.
Listen, and that's exactly why you don't do it.
But see, now you give people the wrong impression. Everybody ain't Delilah, though. Everybody ain't Delilah, man. You know. Hey, that's it.
There's a lot of Delilahs out there. That's the point of the story.
Well, I wouldn't know.
A lot of Delilahs out there. Like it just, and it's not even in the sense of being a harlot. It's the idea of just like taking that information and using it against you.
Okay, now I'm gonna put you on the
spot.
Story. Now I'll put you on the spot. Growing up, what kind of signals did you receive?
What do you mean?
About being able to be vulnerable, transparent, show your feelings. Like I know with my dad, it was tough because he just wasn't this thing.
Yeah,
wasn't this thing. I remember playing sports and I got hurt, man. He's like walking off.
This wasn't a crying household either. Like we pushed through here.
But I'm just asking you. So what signals did you feel like?
Did
you feel like you couldn't come to us when you had emotional things, or there was a certain level to it, or Devin is thinking hard over there.
I probably
your mom may be watching now.
It's the balance of it, like like some things, like I probably even the way I'm talking about it now. I did some things you hold it and you take it, and some things you can share. Like I feel like if it gets to a point where it's like, oh, this is really heavy, or like I need some help, like but there's some things where it's like, all right, this is lighter, like I can hold that one. It's not too great, like So it's just, I think it's a sliding scale for me. Sliding scale. Tell me about yourself.
That was deep and thought. Like, I don't answer this question.
Now there's definitely a balance. I'll say that. I feel like, I don't take this the wrong way. I feel like one parent, was good for a certain set, and the other parent was good for another set. If that makes sense.
You better stop being so tough on your mom.
You see how it turned out?
I won't tell you shit.
But no, that's a good point too. I think that also kind of speaks maybe a little bit to what we're even talking about right now, with just who you feel like you can speak to in some of these instances versus where it's like you gotta maybe take that one and hold it to the chest, or you talk to your homies about this, or you can talk to your lady about this. But it's like sometimes you just can't do both.
So what are some of the signs you think that you may exhibit or somebody close to you? Like, it's kind of funny because growing up when I was a teenager, thinking back on it now, and it's probably crazy that I'm about to say this, some of my better times in sports was when I was depressed because I was more focused. I was just laser focused. I remember in baseball, man, the baseball was the size of a beach ball because I wasn't in the best spot, but when I got on the field, I was laser focused. Same thing in basketball. It's like you just can't miss because you laser focused. You just so tuned in.
Trying to take your mind off of something.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to say it. So what do now fast forward, what are some of the signs? Like, withdrawal, overworking, obviously drinking and smoking, but that's obviously what
I think that's part of it. But it's also a tough thing to, in some cases, pinpoint, like, because it's people who, that we have made on and come across where you see them smiling and like it seems like they having a good time, and then the next thing you know, like
people fake. Well, every day. Halloween is every day. There's a lot of people walk around with masks on, man. And what take us to our next question? Why is that so common? You know, why is it so easy for people to walk around and just act like I go back, we see, like, we got this year alone 2 football players committed suicide. And they were both young. You know, I'm talking about guys who were at the end of their career. These guys were in their early 20s. They were babies.
I think a lot more people now, more than ever, just I think or feel like they're alone. You know, like it's nobody else that's with them that's having a lot of these problems or issues. And it's funny that the internet probably gives us this space to feel connected,
but see, it really like it's. I know 2 people now, 2 adults who are going through stuff because close friends of theirs committed suicide and never had a sign, never said a word, never said, "Hey, this is," and they thought they were close friends. So they were really hurt because, like, why didn't he say something to me? And it's almost eerie because it's like 2 similar situations. Both guys were pretty much around the same age. Both guys are married and have families, you know, and both guys just seem to be okay. So, well, let me ask you a question: is it because we don't ask the right questions? Like, I say this all the time.
I don't think we dig in a lot,
but
especially as guys.
Like, I give you a perfect example. People will say, "How you doing?" before you can answer, start talking about something else. Hey, Dev, how you doing? Did you see the Sixers game? I mean, they don't really give you a chance. A lot of people don't really give you a chance to answer.
Yeah,
they'll ask you the question.
No,
or they'll always answer like a jokey way.
Yeah, or you'll walk past when they say, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really says, "Well, how you really doing?"
I think, yeah, like I said, nobody really digs in. Like, it's just kind of surface level conversation.
Because it's 3 questions that I gave the guys, and I think that we should learn how to ask. One should be, you know, how are you doing? The next thing is, you know, do you need anything? And the third thing is, what can I do for you? I mean, we have to start to ask those questions and dig in, because a lot of times, guys, that first question, we train to say, fine. We can be having some tough days, man. And like, I laugh and joke about this all the time. Most people know me, how you doing? I always say I'm living my best life. You know, but some days in there, some days in there a little quicker. You know, now the flip side, I always say the day's gonna be better than yesterday, and tomorrow's gonna be better than today, which is my goal. But some days it don't work out like that. But there's some people who never will say, I'm struggling. Who will never say, hey, you know, I'm having suicidal thoughts. Who will never say, you know, life is just not going right. You know, when I do work in shelters, I hear a lot where people are seriously contemplating suicide. You know, a couple people told me, look, man, not suicide. They were like, I'm gonna fill my car up with gas, and I was gonna drive as far as I could drive. Wherever I ran out of gas was gonna be my new home. I'm gonna escape everything. I'm just gonna run away.
Wherever I run out of gas. No gas.
No, but they just said they had money, but that was gonna be where they lived at.
I mean, because you're just looking to start over.
How
they want to reset.
So how do you measure? See, and the question is, how do you measure what's too heavy? Because what may be good for you, you may be able to handle things that I can't handle.
The goose in the game.
Yeah, you know, how do you handle what's too heavy?
Oh, I mean, like you said, I think everybody's different. You mentioned or said like sports for you, and I know for myself, that's certainly something.
Well, it used to be sports.
I mean, well, maybe watching. Attending, but the gym. I mean, but just finding different ways to try to cope. And I think we kind of mentioned it a few times today. Just a brotherhood is like having a good group of friends or guys that you can.
But I think
talk to, whether it's your brother or your actual.
And I was going to say, I think as you get older, because I know we have a lot of things in common. You want to connect with somebody. You don't always want it to be basketball or the gym. You want to be able to connect with somebody and say, hey, I'm just not having a good day.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I'm off my game. I think, we community men, we meet once a month. It's about 30, 35 of us who consistently meet on Saturdays. About 50 of us give them this call on Monday nights. And that's because it's created this safe space. And we on it from like the 20s to the 70s. So the age varies. But that's the one thing I hear, that guys don't feel they don't have a place to go. Like, it's a guy.
Like, you probably can't leave the house.
It's a guy. Well, they just don't trust people, because in church they say God. People have said they said it, and then they got preached about. They said it, and the next thing you know,
mad that would make me
sitting there, and nobody else know, but they know. I just told them that. So that's part of it. I think another part of it is, guys have been betrayed before. So I'm not going to tell anybody else, because this happened before, you know, and then there's some people who feel like, well, if I can't tell my wife, I'm not going to tell anybody. So there's different reasons. I got a guy in our group who I had in youth ministry who way back at Freedom. So it's the ages is all ages. It's not just, you know, people in a certain, you know, stigma, certain, portion of their life. It's, it's people of all ages. I told you I had a discussion in school last week in the schools that I ran. And from middle school to high school, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And the common thread was, you know, they don't know. And when we were talking about this, whatever day we were together, I think it was Sunday, when we were talking about it, they really don't know how to share.
Nah,
they don't. They really don't know how to say, yo, Dev, I'm just having a tough time right now, man. Or, you know, Chris, man, I just need you to listen. They don't.
Yeah. And I feel like for some guys, it come out like anger, you know. So
this is the part where I'm going to get in trouble. This is the part where I'm getting in trouble, I think, because most women don't know how to receive that now.
Receive what?
A man comes to them saying, look, oh, yo, I'm struggling. I'm really going through. I think a lot of women don't know how to receive it now. I think because of social media, because of the way they've been raised, you know, a lot of them, especially if they got a single mom, so you got to be, you know, I think, and we had a couple shows about toxic masculinity. I think that is kind of skewed how women receive that. To me, it's one thing for a guy to cry every day, you know, and then the guy just has a bad moment. I think they're two different things. They're two different things. You know, a guy come home whining every day versus the guy who busts in his home and, you know, one time a year or twice a year, he just say, yo, I just need to get this off my chest. You know, but I think society as a whole, I don't know if women, not all, but I don't know if some women are equipped to deal with that. If a man does come home and say, look, yo, I'm at the end of my rope. You know, I think
I'm at the end of my rope.
It's probably easier for them to deal with it, but man, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna bust dude in the head tomorrow. You know, I think they will probably find that easy to deal with it versus, you know, this is just really draining me emotionally. Because society looks at it differently.
Yeah.
You know, like two football players, you would think these guys are in the prime of their career and making good money, you know, they got beautiful fiancés. And I'm not saying that makes your life complete, but from the outside looking in, you know, most people say that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then, you know, it's like, man, the realization comes in like, yo, these dudes had other issues that we just never knew.
It's something else to life, or even just, you know, other than those things, honestly. Like, it's just something deeper that we need to probably talk about and slow things down and look at a little bit more, just as society.
So as we get to the second part of this, how do you win? Because the moment we talked about not just this, but how do you go through depression, disappointment, and change in life, but you still win? You can still come out on top.
I feel like you have to have the peace of mind of knowing that it's not always the end all be all. Like a lot of these things you can still have in your control. I feel like a lot of people really don't think about that enough. It's like you can still control a lot of those feelings, a lot of those emotions. You could redirect them to something positive. That's just how I feel.
All right.
I mean, I can kind of agree with that. Like, just trying to find other ways and do other things to try to get some of that energy out. But then it's also, I know there's people out there who probably suffer from things that they need to go seek actual help. Whether it is just seeing a therapist and talking to a therapist, or even just you might need to be prescribed something. Like, I think sometimes that gets kind of overlooked, and people think that they're crazy if you might get diagnosed with something, but it could ultimately save your life. So I don't know. I think sometimes, like Devin said, it is for some people like to try to pull yourself out of those funks, and like I think some of the depression is because if you're sitting in the house all day, you're glued to a screen, and you're not out here actively enjoying and doing life.
That's a lot of the stuff that you take in
negative.
Or you know, stuff, your activities.
But then there's also, like I said, I know and understand people who may need some help, need to go seek help, and need a space for that. So I think that hopefully, you know, helps some people, or just kind of change the narrative a little bit.
Well, I think it's a couple things. I think one, you have to know what winning looks like, and too many people don't. It's like I'll ask people, who wants to be happy? Everybody raise their hand. Who wants to be successful? Everybody raise their hand. Then when you go back and say, well, what does happiness look like? Everybody's kind of stumbling and bumbling.
Mm-hmm.
What does success look like is always based on material things which don't last. It's not sustainable. So I think, what does winning look like? I think the second thing is you have to have habits established before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And not allow those habits to break. Like, for instance, I don't get up first thing in the morning. I'm not looking at the news and all the stuff. That's like the last thing I look at night, because that would just ruin me. To start off negative, and then I don't. And I get up with, I do my devotion first thing in the morning. That's every morning. That's my thing. I get it done, man. And at night, I'm reading. I'm not, I'm either reading the Bible or something positive. I'm not going to sleep, watching Friday the 13th or Jason 242.
Building a positive mental fortitude.
But that's the perfect phrase what you said, because you have to build it in advance, because it has to be there. So when those times come, you have something to fight with.
Yes.
You don't run out and take up a karate class and the bully's knocking on the door. You got to get ready. I think the third thing is you got to know who you are. And I think we live in a time now in America, we're suffering from a large identity crisis. Most people don't know who they are, so they're always defined by somebody else. I have people telling me now, I do this workshop, what are you willing to fight for? And people, are you talking about grown-ups to fight because somebody said something about their mom? But you still live in the projects. You're not fighting for yourself for a better life, but you want to get out here and fight. So I think that has a whole
literally fight.
Yeah, no, they go to fight now, man.
I see it.
Yeah, I know.
It's all on my.
So I think those things, man. I think those things contribute. And then, Devin said something I think is true. You got to believe it's going to get better. You got to believe it's going to get better, man. It's like if you tell yourself you're tired enough, you get tired. You tell yourself you're hungry enough, you get hungry. So you got to tell yourself, man, it's going to get better. And we all go through, because I know when I went through the cancer thing, man, that was one thing I did not count on. And I know people who went through, they tell you to get in a group and all this stuff, and the macho, and you say no, but it happens. And you got to deal with it, and you got to fight through. But some people do it wrong because they stop doing everything. They withdraw. They sit in the house with all the lights off or whatever. But now they look at every crazy movie that comes on TV, man. Or they watching the news. The news just as crazy and entertaining as crazy movies.
That's now. All it's for.
So I think those things have a lot to do with, our mental state.
Yes,
it does a lot to do with it. And then you said it. I don't think we're not taught to protect our mental state. We're not. We're not taught to protect our mental state. Yeah.
Build it up.
Well, build it and protect it.
Yeah. I was saying, build it up.
But who do you hear?
Like a muscle.
Yeah.
It's like, and I liken it to sports. There's some people who can take that shot at the end of the game and don't worry about missing it. There's some people who are not going to take the shot because all they think about is missing it.
Yeah.
Before they come, man, they mind. There's a guy that practices that shot all day long in the schoolyard, or in the gym. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there's a guy, man, he ain't practicing because he never want to be in that position.
He's just outside passing the ball.
Yeah, he just 5, 4. So but I think that's just. And I liken that to real life, because there's people like that in real life. It's like, it's the person that always comes up to you after the game and tell you what they would have done. They ain't never played in front of people their entire lives, man.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So I just think
I wouldn't have shot that if I was you.
Yeah.
You're at me.
But I think that's, and we don't, and like you said, I go back, we don't hear phrases like protect your mental health, build up your mental health.
I think the building it up thing is like, I would say if that was something that I wanted to leave people with tonight, like build up your mental health, like build up a mentally strong fortitude that you can withstand maybe some turbulent times, or like, and part of it may be communicating and talking to yourself.
Let's talk about that.
Reading a book.
So let's talk about that. So what do you do during turbulent times? What are some of the things that you do? Because we all have.
I mean, well, me personally, I like to laugh and joke a lot.
Yeah. A whole lot.
So I mean, for me, like sometimes just being in a creative space works. Like, I mean, even making fun of or making light of the time that I'm actually in helps. Like, I'm like it's it's probably annoying to my fiance at times now, but like if it's something where it's
like saying it, don't you?
yeah, I do. but it's something like I almost make light of it, almost like not immediately, but at some point when I'm able to make a joke out of it, it just kind of diffuses things for me and like allows for me to have a peace of mind and like I almost just look for the funny in a lot of things. Okay. So it's just like I think for me it's just having that creative space as an outlet. But then also I still go to the gym. I'm with my friends and I work out with them. I just have different things. But personally, it's just like getting my mind working and off of something else. And it does allow for me to build up, like I said, that kind of armor because it's like I'm able to laugh at myself. Yeah. I think that ultimately
laugh at others also.
Of course. But like that goes without saying. If I can laugh at myself, of course I'm gonna laugh at you.
How about you, Devin? You want to share or you don't want to share?
I would say the same thing, especially with the working out and maybe I'll watch like a funny TV show or something. Like I know that'll make me laugh, or a movie that I know I like, or I'll listen to a certain genre of music that I know will pick me up. Yeah, that'll get me in the mood. That'll
clear your brain.
Exactly, my brain kind of remove all of that negativity, just have me feeling better. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same type of time.
As I'm mature, I shifted because like now, I mean, I want to be alone, but not alone. Like I gospel music. I put on music, man. I'm very cautious about what I look at on TV. I'm not looking at a bunch of crazy stuff on TV, man. Not that I do anyway. I do, but I read my word a lot more. In the situation, man. I read books a lot more. I try to. It's funny because I'm probably in more of a learning mode at that time. Seeking knowledge, trying to read, trying to find stuff out. Because for me, it allows me to find new things out about me. Which sometimes, more than not, often changes the way you think. Because as you grow older, you start to see yourself differently. And sometimes, the way you see yourself doesn't always catch up with where you are.
Yeah. Or vice versa.
So vice versa. So it's through those moments, man, where you got to kind of come up with something a little different. I still like working out and things of that nature, but it's also, to me, making sure I'm reading, man, making sure I'm sticking to my routine, trying to learn new things on that time because it keeps me sharp.
Take the violin.
Show me that. You never miss my part. That's all right.
You learn how to play the violin.
I'm gonna have to make a phone call. I'm gonna have to make a phone call.
Never heard that.
Because he
never seen it.
And no, you missed the whole thing. You played the drums. They had a band, like the Jets 5.
I'm
right. I'm making a phone call. We making a phone call. Soon as show over. Right. Soon as show over.
I need to call him live.
Soon as show over.
What song did y'all write? What did y'all sing? I need.
You still got the drum.
I need a picture. I need something like speaker.
I'm feeling a certain way.
I need to see it.
I can't imagine I like playing any drums or.
No, he did. He played the guitar
with a straight face. Just
the bass. I can see him playing the bass.
Hey man, I need to ask you a quick question. I got my sons here, right? And they give me a hard time. We're in the middle of this podcast. They don't believe we had a band that I played the drums, you played the guitar, and Jay played the bass. They don't believe me.
And you played the drums.
They over here crying. They laughing at all of us. They laughing at all of us. They're laughing at all of us. We thought we rejected him. You hear him?
This is the greatest family secret ever.
Yeah.
Like this, y'all had a band.
You've never mentioned it.
It never came up in conversation.
That's something y'all would.
We had a life. We was in the drummer billboard.
I forgot about that. You know what? I forgot about that. That we actually marched in parades. I forgot about that.
Y'all can play on my wedding day.
They don't believe me, man. It's like these dudes don't believe I was a great athlete. They act like I was a bum.
Athlete part,
they think I was a bum.
I hear you, but the instrument thing.
You know, cousin Alvin, right?
Yeah.
Well, he'll tell you in a minute. He started playing complete play.
I see.
Apology accepted.
I got him on Facebook. I'm gonna ask him.
Apology accepted. Let me say it again. Apology accepted.
First off,
Now,
Uncle Mike,
do I gotta call him about
I
the
didn't
violin
think he was
now?
gonna pick up the phone.
I gotta call him about the violin now? All right, Mike, thanks, man. I'll talk to you later. Now, talking
Don't your
about.
other cousin play the bass?
Talking about.
Man, Devin alive for me too.
Hey, don't make me call him about the violin.
Hey, Devin.
I can keep going.
Oh yeah.
Now we got, I got a lifeline. I can keep
Devin,
going.
remember when I was performing at the Apollo, right?
I didn't say that. That's right. I forgot we joking.
Oh yeah.
So you called the introduction.
Thank you. I forgot about we joking people. I forgot about this. There's nothing I didn't tell y'all.
You know what? That's a good line. He started adding other stuff. Like, yeah, remember? And we went and got pizza after.
I gotta call Jay. I gotta call Jay. Come on. You ain't gonna tie me up and tell you about when I was playing when I
We
played.
can talk about this in person with everybody because I'm like, what?
I cannot believe on air my kids are doubting me.
Never heard
It's
that.
terrible.
Never heard that.
Because I didn't tell you. I was supposed to tell you
Drum
everything.
major. Yeah, my dad was a drum major.
I didn't tell you. I played the drum. I didn't was a drum major.
They said they used to play a halftime for the
That's not. See, there you go. See, you know, this is why I don't like black people. That's exactly why. That's not what I no. We watched them praise, man. It wasn't no halftime. We watched them. We were in praise.
They said they opened for Earth.
That's crazy.
We were in praise, man.
Local legends.
See, here we go.
The Dell.
See, this is why
They play with
See, this is why people have anxiety and depression.
Oh,
This is work. This
you
is
need to be
because
able
you
to live and laugh it up.
you are mocking the process.
No, I'm not mocking the
That's
process.
what we were talking about. We were talking about the making of a lesbian in Renaissance.
He's upstanding.
We were-
I thought that was like accurate.
We talking about-
No, because I was telling them my parents made sure we were well rounded. So part of the reason why I think I'm able to handle so much is because there was a place in Playhouse in the Park where we went and saw. We saw Othello, we saw Shakespeare and plays, Porgy and Bess, all that. My grandma would take us to New York to Radio City to see the Nutcracker and to see the Rockettes. We were.
And
I played the violin.
I
I played the violin,
School.
and that's what he was laughing at. I played the violin when I was in elementary school because I was too late for the organ, and I told him I played the drum. Oh, he went off like no, because he never heard it.
damn thing. I'm like, wow.
I shouldn't have said it because now we go. Now it's gonna be part of this comedian.
Like grandpa and grandma
I just
Somebody.
they would have mentioned it.
mention what? Oh yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So wait, now why you ain't never let us play the drums?
Let me let y'all.
Not in my house.
You didn't put the.
They didn't sing to us. They had that
No,
drums.
I don't
Like,
wanna be the drum.
had me on a snare. Could have been a drummer boy.
Let me tell you, your mom don't even know this.
It was just crazy. Oh my goodness. Now,
I know it's not true.
40 years of marriage, never heard.
Why would I say yeah? Come on, man.
Well, I think that's actually funny.
Mom, man, we ever seen this?
Now I'm actually like, yeah, it's not
There's
true.
a couple things y'all
My
don't know.
mom.
You
did not
definitely
make
would have
sure.
told her on the first second there. That would have
You know I had a Philly
That
tribe.
would have came up.
I had a Philly tribe.
I know about that.
Yeah, we know about that.
I know about
I can honestly say I got cut by the Philly.
You told us that. You told us that, but you didn't tell us about the
You
drum.
Because it just kind of went away.
could have been in the arts.
You were in the arts.
We could have. How?
Huh?
I was.
You danced. Oh,
Ah. All right, that's enough, dogs. Good night. That's out the mud.
I don't understand. See, you can mock me, but now when it's your turn, he's like, good night. Let's stop the shit. I can't believe y'all.
Hey,
Mom.
you were proud. Yes. We appreciate y'all. I feel like this is a great show, especially to end in some laughter and some joy, because the world needs that.
Nah, I'm willing to hear that you mocked. Damn, my creativity. You know how this started? He started teasing me about this. Because
He thinks he's an artist because he.
no, I'm not an artist. I'm an artiste.
I mean, they are signing AI artists, so
No, I'm an artiste. I'm not an artist.
you can send this to Kurt Franklin.
Prince was an artiste. No, I don't need Kurt Franklin,
You
man.
can send this to Martin.
Like, yo, this is nuts. People, I do not.
I got this theme. I got the
encourage
theme
it.
for the schoolyard. Let me tell you,
You can
man.
get married on the court.
You can put anybody's voice in
Yeah,
there.
look at this.
Fuck the book.
Creativity, man.
Actually, we do need to talk about your AI usage.
I want to say
My kids are embarrassed.
you probably
Nuts.
should took that out.
What? It's a coffee cup.
It's not a coffee cup.
It's a glass of milk.
You know where we are, but
That's why you don't take them places.
only you know. Oh man.
Another great show, man. Above Average Black Men, you have truly Chris Anderson.
Chris Jr. as always here to empower, inspire, and uplift.
Devin Pender.
I'm
Like,
wounded.
follow, subscribe, share, comment.
Appreciate
Anyway,
y'all. For
I
tuning
tested
in.
my book today with some kids. If you got some kids, you want me to test it, I come out and read it to them. Just hit me up. It's called You Are More Than Enough.
Because you are. Don't you ever forget that.
For Black History Month.
Yes, it is. I feel like we should have like a rainbow and little rainbow.